PTE HELP, describe image, test 11, sample 86 skulls response for PTE HELP. This reference chart illustrates the percentage of Americans who prefer coffee or tea by their respective age groups in the year 2015. At the first glance, it has been noticed that the equal amount of the youngsters tend to consume coffee and tea. On the other hand, 50% of adults like to drink coffee instead of tea, which is preferred by 35% of the adults less than 44 years of age. In the age group 45 to 64, more than 60% of the beverage consumers choose coffee instead of tea. Lastly, a minority of senior citizens drink tea than coffee. PTE HELP, describe image, test 11, sample 86 skulls response for PTE HELP. This diagram shows the main internal structural elements of the Great Pyramid. This type of building persisted through to medieval times. The top of the pyramid is called as capstone, followed by a number of differently shaped and sized blocks, known as casing blocks, packing blocks, and core blocks. If we take a look at the bottom of the pyramid, there is a steep passage or entryway to the pyramid, which becomes horizontal in the next half, directing towards burial chamber in the middle of the structure. Overall, this is an ancient man-made masterpiece. PTE HELP, describe image, test 11, sample 86 skulls response for PTE HELP. The combination of the bar chart and table chart represents the hospital beds per thousand of the population in Australia, Canada, Germany, Japan and some other nations, as well as governmental health spending respectively. It is examined that Japan has the most number of beds per thousand of the population, followed by Germany and Netherlands with 14, 8 and 4 respectively. There are approximately equal number of beds availability in Spain, UK, US and Australia. On the other hand, Japan spends around $2,500 on the health behind per person, whereas US tops with approximately $6,000. The average longevity is highest among Japanese than Americans.
PTE HELP, Describe Image, Test 11, Sample 86 plus Scores Response for PTE HELP. This map compares the cases of polio disease in India since 1990. At the first glance, it is noticed that the number of cases were highest in the year 1981, accounting for 38,090. But, due to increased vaccinations, the numbers began dropping till 1986. However, a spike was again noticed in the cases in 1987, reaching at 28,264. Surprisingly, in the approaching years, the polio cases were exponentially decreased, accounting for only 43 in 2010, which were completely eradicated in 2013.
PTE HELP, Describe Image, Test 11, Sample 86 Scores Response for PTE HELP. This image illustrates the urban region, which has two phases. On the one hand, we can note that there are skyscrapers, but on the other hand, the overcrowding in the sites has also caused some slums, overcrowded residents and disfigured houses. The narrow streets and hustle-bustle localities in the city also contain traffic issues and encroachments. Overall, even though the urbanization has resulted in outstanding infrastructures, the government needs to follow overall developmental strategies to raise the standards of living in general.
PTE HELP, Describe Image, Test 11, Sample 86 Scores Response for PTE HELP. This world map illustrates the potential vulnerability to climate change for various countries. At the first glance, it is recognized that India is very vulnerable to climatic variations due to contaminated air quality, whereas China comes in the category of vulnerable. The least vulnerable regions to climate change are Russian Federation and Australia. South America is at intermediate position. In addition, the almost half of the African regions are unrated sovereigns. Lastly, Canada and United Kingdom are least susceptible to climate change. PTE HELP, Describe Image, Test 11, Sample 86 Skulls Response for PTE HELP. The bar chart represents the sources of the digital photographs clicked worldwide from the year 2011 till 2017. At the first glance, it has been noticed that 50% of the users clicked photos from their cell phones in 2011, where other 50% of the people used their cameras. After 2 years, with the invention of mobile tablets, a minority of the population used these to click photographs, whereas 61% of the users accessed mobile phones. Overall, it is evident that there has been a colossal upsurge in the access of smartphones among the individuals to click the photographs.